there we go. Installed. Lock nut on it so it doesn't adjust its depth, and because of the taper and the thing at the end, but slides up and down nice and freely. But apart from a slight amount, which is fine, that is like 1,000,000% better than what the previous system was, which was no system at all. So I have all this motion in it, which is truly amazing, and that means I can just do it to where I want, do that, and then just ever so slightly move the bed and it's back exactly where it was. So I can do my operations that I need to. All I've got left to do now is I'm going to try and take this apart, give it a good clean service, and then that goes back in there like that. So that's the beauty. Wonderful. So it's time to see about maybe dismantling this and giving it a good service, clean and general overhaul. I have noticed there's a bit of slop in the locating screw that stops the whole thing from rotating in the body. So what I'm going to try and do is rectify that, and if necessary I will make a new screw with the thing if needed. So let's start by dismantling it. First thing to do with that is take the pulley off the top. And for that I'll need the Tommy bars that you use for doing the chuck, believe it or not, because there's a hole down here. I don't know if you can see that, there we go. And the beauty is then is if you put that in there, you can use that as like a lock to hold the shaft while you undo the top. And then lo and behold, off it comes. So that's the pulley. Quite nicely, when I bought this machine, or rather my granddad bought this machine, the guy who owned it previously, or at least one of the people who owned it previously, made the main pulleys, remade them out of brass. So it actually has real nice solid drive pulleys on it, as opposed to them being the plastic ones that came from the factory with. Next step, I'm just going to take these bolts out the top here. These are the ones that hold the motor plate in. I'm actually thinking of modifying the motor mount so that the motor doesn't hang down the side here, but actually hangs above it. More like a Bridgeport does with its motor up above it. Because currently the way it's set up, it's a little bit weird. So that's that. I think the next thing is going to be taking this off. Now that's soldered on the end there, so it looks like you just take this nut off down here. So let me grab my little adjustable. That is tight. Can you still see that, guys? Actually, I'm being dumb. This whole thing can slide off by undoing two little Allen bolts at the top, two little cap screws. So let me put that back on again because I was being dumb. And let me just grab my Allen keys. Now I have no idea what size this is. Looks like it's maybe a 2mm, possibly. And it is. Wonderful. So let's whip this off. I can get it to go in the hole. Oh, is it not 2mm? That's really odd. The ball drive end of this goes in, but the other side of the hex bolt doesn't, the hex driver doesn't go in. I'm really confused at that. That's taken me by surprise, that. So there's one. Oh, they would have looked tight. And there's two. Just support that with my little finger. There we go. That's the quill stop. this is homemade. In fact, I've got a feeling from what I've read and what I've seen in terms of pictures and documentation of these machines, they didn't actually ship with these as standard. So someone made this, which props to them for making it. I'm glad, because it does prove useful. Oh, blimey, they're tight. Oh, they are really tight. There we go. See if I can budge this one loose as well. They are tight. It helps you don't drop your spanner, your Allen key as well. God, I'm dropping everything today. I've just repaired a dial indicator that someone gave me, and I dropped one of the teeny tiny bezel screws on that and had to dismantle half my bloody garage to be able to get to find the damn screw again. I couldn't replace it because I didn't have any screws that small. Well, actually, that's a lie. Right now, I do have some screws that small, but they're in a kit. They're part of a kit that I currently have, and I will tell you about more later. Well, actually, it'll be in the next little short video. And that's just the homemade bracket for the depth stop. Let's just give that a quick wipe. Just clean it up. May as well clean the stuff up as I'm taking it apart. After all, that's mainly the point that I'm doing this. So that's the bottom part of the depth stop. So that's down to more baseline components. Now, next step is to get the actual quill itself out. So this could be fun. I'm not entirely sure how it comes out. I'm fairly sure you start off by removing this big nut and bolt here, which what you use to clamp the quill in place. So there we go. Another one of these. As I say, these are the typical bolts that are all over the machine. So they all use the same cap heads, so that's quite nice. I might just buy a bunch of these cap heads in different sizes, just so I've got some for in the future. It's quite nice and handy. Next step then is to slacken off this nut and undo that. Now, I'm not sure if this whole pack then this is being held in under spring tension. This will go bing and fire across the room, and there'll be tears before bedtime. But I'm not sure how that'll work. So let's give it a go. What I think I might do, actually, just to be on the safe side, because I don't want to risk anything, I think I'm going to grab myself a clamp, and I'm just going to put a clamp across here, just like that, just to hold it in place. So give me a sec and I'll get that set up. So that's got the clamp on it. Let's start by taking this nut off. Bloody hell, that was on tight. I had no idea that could be so tight. Now I just need to take the set screw out. Yep, that's what I thought. Spring loaded. So I'm glad that I had the clamp on just in case, so nothing would go flying across the room. And here's a dog point set screw. Seems to be in decent condition, although it is quite worn on one side. Right, take that clamp off. Bring some light back on the occasion. So that removed that. Let me just put this nut back on here. So I don't lose it. Now I think this is supposed to just be able to slide out. Oh, that's tight though. Let me figure out how this comes apart and then I'll bring you back once I've done that. And that's how that comes apart. As it turns out, it was just that it was a bit stiff, that's all. It's a very tight tolerance inside that bore, so I just applied a bit of elbow grease and it just slid out. I have noticed there's some end play. Don't know. Don't know if you guys could hear that, but I'm curious as to how much end play that is, and also I don't see any way of adjusting any bearings in this either. It's a little bit weird. There's no like jam nuts or anything like that for adjusting spindle tightness or anything like that. What I may have to do is do a little bit of research and see if there is an instruction maintenance manual for this to see if you can tighten the bearings or not. Also, it might give a spec as to, oh excuse me guys, as to what the tolerance is for the end play on that, because it's a possibility, of course, that this is still basically as it was from the factory, and that's just within tolerance for end play. So let me do a bit of research and then I'll come back to you and see what's what. Okay, so I've done a bit of research now. I've read through all the documentation I can find in regards to the both user manual and service manual, and no mention whatsoever of this at all, how it works or anything like that. In fact, on the service manual and replacement parts, this whole thing comes as a section like that, as a replacement part. So my guess is this amount of end play is normal. But what I'm going to do, I'm curious as to just how much that is. I'm going to set this up in the vise with some soft jaws, get an indicator and just measure how much end play there actually is on it using an indicator. So just give me a second, I'll set that up. So there we go. That's got the indicator on the end. Actually, I'm curious as to what the condition of the end of that is. Well, there's a little bit of run out on that. But now let's try. That's... So let me find the low spot and re-zero the indicator. Okay, so that's 0. That's 10, 11, 12, that's 13, that's 0.13 of a mil. That's excessive. Thing is, I've no idea how you would rectify this, but that is an insane amount of end play. In fact, the other indicator that I was thinking I might have to use to be finer to measure it actually hasn't got that amount of range in it. So I'm really shocked as to how much end play there is in that. I don't really know what to say. I mean, there's not really a great deal I can do because the company doesn't exist anymore, so I can't buy a new one. And I can't contact them to find out if that's within spec or anything. Like I said, they don't exist anymore, so I really don't know what to suggest with this, but that's an insane amount of end play. I'm thinking I might just have a look online, see if there are any forums anywhere where anybody else has had this problem, because if they have, then obviously they might have a way of fixing it as well. But sadly, short of making a new one from scratch, which I don't have the tooling for, I'm at a bit of a loss there. So aye, that's a bit worrying, that. So I can't find anything online about anybody trying to repair or modify or upgrade these. So I think I'm just going to have to live with it. Let's do a little test, see what the run out is on this. So that appears to be the highest spot. So that's 1, 2, 3. One, 2, 3, 4. So we're looking at about 4/100ths of a mil. Yeah, 4/100ths of a millimetre total indicated run out. Yes. I pull back on the spindle as I turn. It's just the same. Push forward on the spindle. Turn. There's no movement with rocking or anything, or wiggle or anything like that in it, so I think I'm just going to have to assume that it's fine. There's not really much more I can do other than that now I look at it, so right, what I'll do, let's put this all back together. I'll clean it up first though, because I've taken it apart. The least I can do is get rid of all the old oil and grease. Give it a good clean. And as if by magic, completely reassembled. Yeah, there's not really much I can do about the end play in that now. I think the only way it's assembled is all a pressed fit together inside, and I don't have a press or anything that could even hold this properly to be able to put it in a press either. So just going to make do with it. I mean, it's been okay so far. We'll just have to see how it goes, really. Completely fresh grease all round. I cleaned it entirely. Yeah, and completely new grease, lithium-based grease all round. It's spinning nice. So there's a bit of 3-spin, but not ridiculous amount, so it's not too loose. But the quill works fine. So you can hear the new grease squelching in there, which is fine, until that settles down. I'm happy with that. Next stage then, get the actual mount off the column and bang it in and connect it on the back here and put it back on the mill. And after a little bit of pressure, didn't have to use any form of hammer implement or anything with it, just a little bit of downwards pressure with a slight twisting motion, and it dropped right into place. And there she goes. She's nice spinning there. I did put a little bit of grease on the actual surfaces in there, just to stop anything from going any corrosion of any form in there by accident. Also it means then that if I ever do need to alter the angle on the head, which obviously is what that's for, I can, it's much more smooth to operate. So let's get the Ello lock, the lock itself back in, which is what this is. Just make sure I get this right way round, because not that it would really make a difference, but it's always nice. There we go, that's started. Let me just go and grab the Allen key. There we go. Start it in. There we go. Now neither me nor you can see it right now, but there's a scale on there with a 0 point marked, and just temporarily I'm just going to lock it in current position. I mean it's close at the moment, so I'm just going to tighten it there for a minute, but then I can tram it in once it's actually back on the mill itself, obviously, because at that point then it's functional. So yeah, it's like tramming in any kind of mill. You have to tram them in after you've done work on them. But there we go. Hey, that's not bad. Not bad for lining that up by eye, is it? I couldn't even see that mark, and I'm basically on it. That's what you call a pro gamer move. That's a 200 IQ play, that. Wonderful. So there we go. It's the milling head all reassembled. So let's go over to the mill and put it on. Okay, here we go. That bore is cleaned out. The outside of the shaft is all nice. Oh, that fits on there beautifully. Let's put the clamp screw back in. Then I can just snug that up for a minute like that. There we go. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Move it to the side slightly. There we go. Now here's my thing. I decided to put a washer on so I don't just completely destroy all the paintwork around there. I mean, I know I've buggered it up a bit already, but I don't want to completely destroy it. So that goes in the hole. And that's working nicely. Just tighten that up again. I can just bring the lock nut in a little bit. Now if I undo this, it slides. But there's no movement, so I know for a fact that it's a repeatable movement. The slight juddering is because it's obviously a tight fit. It's a close fit on the shaft. But now that works a treat. I'll just grab my wrench and just tighten that into it like that. That can move up there, right up there, you see, out of the way. It's locked in place. And the quill works, so you can get to do whatever I need. Again, don't worry about that squelching noise, it's the grease that's... Because obviously I didn't go nuts with the grease, but I didn't under grease it to make sure that it's... I'm not going to risk any lubrication issues with this. That spins nicely. And then, I need to do a spot face operation. I'll just move it down where the cutter's going to be nicely engaged. tighten it back up again, and there we go. I'm just further closer to the table. Oh, wonderful. Absolutely bloody wonderful, that. That's what I've been after since I got this bleeding thing. Is some way of making this travel repeatable, and now it is. So I just slide that up out there, lock it off there. Now I can leave the mill head in this position if I want to while doing lathe work, or I can just back out the screw and swing it round. So for instance, if I now want to, I don't need this anymore, I just loosen that nut off, wind that out like that, and just take that out or leave it in or whatever. Then I can just undo the clamp, and lo and behold, it spins back round out the way. Or I can, when it's out of the way, I can have it down here so I'm not doing it. I think I will just move that clamp into a different position though, because that's better. Actually no, I still don't like that. Let me index it round again, because I want this handle to be not in the way of anything. There we go, that's better. Now it's in line with the body. That's much better. And then I can just lightly screw that back in here on this side. You can't see that, but I can just screw it in. I don't have to clamp it because I'm not clamping onto here, so I'm not damaging the shaft. Then I can just put it in so I don't risk losing it, but or I can do it until it touches, back off slightly, and then come in with the lock nut just by hand, just to lock it in place so it doesn't rattle about if there's any chatter problems that I get on the mill. You couldn't see any of that, but because I'm an idiot with camera work and I'm a complete dunce, but trust me, this side what you can do is just slightly turn it into the threads, which is how I intended it to work, and then then just jam the lock nut up against the body on the washer, and it'll keep it in place without rattling, but not interfering in any way. That is amazeballs. So, next step now, or well, basically the final step, is to put the lathe back together. So, let's do that. I tell you what, I'll put it back here together, but I'll put it together in mill mode, and I'll clamp a piece of test work on and just take a light cut across something, just to. In fact, I'll try a spot face operation, just to show to you that such a thing is now possible. So, got a bit of aluminium offcut that I just popped in the lathe and just faced both sides off so that it's got a nice two nice true faces to clamp against. In here, nice and gripped, locked solid. Although now that I've tightened it, that's lifted. Of course it has. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. I need to alter this fixed jaw. It's got a bit of play in it. Well, because I can't. That's going to vibrate all over the place, I think. Well, I'll leave it in there anyway, just in case for now. And before any of you start crucifying me, yes, I know, it's a drill chuck. That's because that's the only thing this lathe has. It doesn't have any form of collet holding whatsoever. The only way I can hold things central as I can to the spindle line is using this collet chuck. The only other thing I've got is the 4-jaw chuck that goes on the actual lathe spindle, but it won't swing in this area. There's not enough room. So, with that little speech out of the way, I'm going to start with a nice little spot drill here. A nice little slotting drill, as us Brits like to call it. It's just a 2-flute end mill. Let's put that in here. Tighten that in. we go. Now, as you can see, oh look, I can't reach the work. That's easily sorted. Undo that. Let's put it there. There's a good place for it. Right. I'm going to bring it down just a bit before it touches and engage the fine feed mechanism that I've stripped and cleaned. So let's engage that. And that's not what I wanted to happen. There we go. I'm an idiot, I forgot to tighten the clamp screw on the tram. I haven't trammed this in yet, so it's not going to be perfect. What I've done for the moment is just lined it up with the 0 on the scale. It's not going to be perfect, I appreciate that, and don't go throwing hate at me in the comments. I know it's not trammed in yet, neither is the vise. I just wanted to give you a quick demonstration of what this is going to be great for. So, what I want to do is I just want to create a nice little island in the centre here that if I wanted to, for instance, I was going to put a set screw in. So that's now all in there beautifully. It's all connected. Everything's in. Let's turn her on. Slowly bring it down. Just going to tighten the cross slide, the compound rather. Try that again. That's probably going to be good enough for that. Let me loosen off the fine feed, bring it up. Let's see how that's looking. So there's a nice little spot on there now. As you can see, I didn't get it quite centralised, but it's near enough by eye at the moment. I'm not worried about it. Like I said, this is just a test piece. So now what I need to do is I need to put a centre drill in. Now, let me take this out. Oh look, I can't get it out. Oh, what am I going to do? I'm going to lose all my translation in this way. No, I'm not. Because of course what I can do is just temporarily tighten that back in there. Loosen off the screw at the back. Slide the whole head back up. Tighten it up. Loosen that. Drop it out. Move over to my little centre drill. Helps if you turn the chuck the right way. Sorry guys, I caught the camera there. There we go. Gets that in, but obviously that won't reach. Oh, I know. I'll just drop it down a bit. Lock it back off. There we go. Start her back up. There we go. Just a nice little hole in the centre of that island. Right, before, I could have managed to done all this myself before, you see, by just lining up. The real trick now is whether or not when I lift it back up, put the drill in and bring it back down, if it lines up. So let me loosen off the clamp, lift the head back up again, tighten it up. You know the drill by now. Well, it's actually a mill, but you know the drill. Ha ha ha, aren't I funny? Bring in my drill. I'm going to use a 4mm drill. Bring that in. Tighten that up. There we go. Now it won't reach, so loosen off the lock. Bring it not all the way down because I'm an idiot. It's just a little bit sticky. Bring it over so it's against the key. And see if I just put it into the middle of the key, which is right there. That is perfect. The deflection you saw a second ago when I brought it down was because I hadn't got it in the right place on the key. I was jamming up against one side. Oh, excuse me guys. Oh, yeah, I had a good fart there. Right, let's drill this through and see what happens. And there we go. One hole drilled nicely through there. I'll just lift the head back up again. Lock that off. And there we have it. Drilled the hole nicely. Exactly as I was hoping. And it lined up beautifully on line. Now the big question, of course, if I drop the head back down now, will the drill bit go back through? So I'll loosen that off. Bring it down on the key. Line it up. Straight back through again. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. This mod on this has been so overdue. Oh, that makes me super duper happy that this works now. So, there we have it. One modification that makes it a lot more usable, complete. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and hopefully you watched the previous video. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up or like. If you really enjoyed it and you'd like to see more from me, then please do subscribe. I've been looking at my YouTube analytics recently, and it turns out if even just a fraction of the people who viewed my videos actually subscribed, I would be really boosted a long way up in the YouTube algorithm. So that would be really helpful if you could. Thank you very much. So yeah, thank you once again. There will be another video coming soon explaining my new project. Look forward to that, and yeah. Stay safe, everyone, and I will see you in the next one. Cheerio.